Hey everyone, Alex again. Just going to do this screencast on my logo and brand identity. As you can see here to the left, I do have a little picture of the logo that I have created. So, just a little bit of how I came up with the logo. It's simple, really. It's sort of a play on words. It's just simple. That's how simple it was coming up with this idea. I wanted it to be something that is easy to remember, doesn't have too much going on, and clearly says exactly what my business represents. I was listening to a podcast. I've been getting into listening to podcasts recently, and there was one interesting thing that I heard in one of the podcasts that said they conducted a study all over the world of people's ideal landscape. While the different types of landscape varied across the world, the one thing that measured high in every single country that they tested was the color blue. People really like the color blue. So I'm going to use the color blue to my advantage, since this study that was done apparently shows that the world likes the color blue. So I also need to let the customers know what V-Economy is all about quickly, which is why I've included the great cars, great prices, better experience at the bottom of it. It clearly explains that the business that I have, the business that this logo represents, is a car dealership, and what you can expect from this car dealership. And I wanted it to be recognizable. I feel like simplistic designs with the color blue and then your classic black and white will be things that people remember. So, I'm keeping the logo at the bottom just as I talk about it. Maybe you can be looking at the logo and maybe even seeing the same things that I'm seeing. So, I believe the logo lets you know exactly what kind of business it represents. I talked about it in the last slide. I'll just reiterate it here. V-Economy is a car dealership. It says it at the bottom. Great cars, great prices, better experience. And it's not just a car dealership. It's a car dealership that is going to make you feel like a person. And not like traditionally car dealerships have made you not feel like a person. I feel like the lettering is professional, friendly, and inviting, especially with this car logo on here. I chose that car, and this is the last bullet point too. I chose this car because it just represents a car. That picture of a car, you could say is a regular, everyday cruiser. You could argue that it's a luxury car. You could argue that it's a two-door sports coupe. It's not clearly defined what kind of car that is, and that's what I want. I don't want a picture of a truck or a Jeep or a sports car or an SUV or four-door family sedan, because I want everyone who likes any type of car to be able to come into this dealership and not feel like I'm trying to cater to one specific car buyer, whether it be a sports car buyer or a Jeep buyer. And then the lettering itself, I used a two-tone so that you could see the play on the word of V-Economy. It's vehicle and economy combined into one. And so whenever you see the two words and two different lettering, you can see where that split is and not have to think about, V-Economy. Well, what does that mean? Or where does this word come from? That's not a real word. I believe it just adds a little bit of professionalism to a word that has been made up. Again, the lettering, the font that I chose itself, it's professional, it's clean, it's crisp. It's not funky, it's not wild, it's not hard to read. It's very clear, very plain. You can read it easily, and it makes a lot of sense. And the color blue that I chose what I would call a pleasing blue. It's not super bold. It doesn't stand out. It doesn't hurt your eyes whenever you look at it. And it's not too subtle to where you're going to forget that it's actually blue up there. You might say, oh, well, was that purple, or was that a dark enough blue that, you wouldn't think that it was purple unless it was a dark enough blue to make it look purple. But you want to be able to remember the color, because that's the color's part of the logo. And that's why I chose this color blue, because I personally believe it does that. So just absorb this in. Take a look at it. Watch the timer, maybe another 10 more seconds. So I would consider this a bad logo. There's just way too much going on. There's a picture of a car. There's too many borders and outlines and colors, and someone's just trying to make it look far too fancy. It's forgettable. You'd never remember this. It might look cool whenever you design it at first, but if you put that up on a billboard on the side of the highway going 65 miles an hour, there's no possible way you're going to be able to read that and figure out what that is. On top of that, they put a two-door sports car on the top of that. In my opinion, I would think that this person's only going to sell things like lifted trucks and Jeeps, things with loud exhaust on them, high-end sports cars. And these aren't things that people who are starting families or who just, don't care about fancier cars are going to care about. They just want to come in and buy a car. And they might be put off by that. The auto sales at the bottom, they chose lettering that's in cursive, which makes it hard to read. And then the colors are just a poor choice. It's, there's silver, there's white, there's green, there's dark blue. It looks like there may even be an even darker shade of blue to a black that's in between the letters and just above the letters on the borders. All the borders just add to the confusion, and just in general makes this logo very hard to look at and very hard to read. I actually haven't been looking at the logo too much as I've been talking about it, except whenever I'm trying to explain it, because it just kind of hurts my eyes on the computer screen. So here's another car dealership logo. I call this a better logo. It's a very simple design. It's a rememberable. Whenever you see this, you could actually cut the car off of the front of it and just see the Max, and you'd know that that's a CarMax logo. Or you could take CarMax off of it completely and just leave the yellow dots at the bottom of it, and you would know that that's a CarMax logo. One, because CarMax is a huge used car dealership, but this is the logo that they use, and they made it unforgettable. I do believe that it's easy to read with the darker background and the lighter letters. I personally don't care too much for looking at the yellow, especially on the computer screen. It's really bright. It's brighter than the white, in my opinion. Moving on. So here are successful competitors' logos. I feel like if these businesses are successful, then one good way to design my logo is to follow the lead of successful people. Here you have the CarMax logo, the way car buying should be, with its little slogan at the bottom. Drive Time with its emblem, the go-to guys for cars and credit. They've got their slogan on there. Here's an Auto Nation logo, Enterprise, Rent-A-Car, True Car, changing how cars are sold. You can kind of see how each of these logos kind of embodied the same idea that I had whenever I was creating my logo. There's an emblem or a picture that represents the brand itself. for me, if I just put that picture of the car up in the blue box with the black car, I could put that up and people would know that that's V Economy. Same way with AutoNation and their yellow and white play button. Enterprise with its cursive road-looking E, and then the drive time logo with the road going in behind the D. And then they also include their slogans in there and their full-out logo. That way you know what kind of business they represent, the way car buying should be. CarMax offers low, no-haggle pricing. TrueCar, changing how cars are sold. That applies only to new cars, but you get that low, no-haggle pricing whenever you're working with a TrueCar dealer. Then you got Enterprise. This one is Rent-A-Car, but Enterprise also does auto sales. And Drive Time, the go-to guys for cars and credit. So that is a car dealership for less than stellar credit. And then just another look at my logo. After looking at all of the ones that we just went over, you can kind of see how my logo is similar to theirs. Great cars, great prices, better experience. My slogan's in there. My emblem is here. V Economy, the two colored wording whenever the word splits, much like CarMax. And then that is it. But I also wanted to show you where I went to go to create my logo. It's called logomaker.com, and here it is set up on here. I did each of the words separately, like that, and then just kind of put them together. This one was all set up. I can move it and put it wherever I want it. And then this car, I can lift it up and set it here. And then I can move anything I want. If I want this to come to the front, I can block that out, or I can send it back to the back. So this was a really great little tool to use for making logos. And you can come up here, say you're wanting an environmental company or an energy company, and you want water. You can click the search here, and then it brings up all different kinds of water. You have to give credit to the people who designed these things whenever you use the logo, but this is a great way to kind of start making a good logo that you're proud of. Alright, thank you very much.